Hey everyone, this is Jane with Barlow Herbal, and happy Sunday, July 24th of 2022. Again, another beautiful day set up to line up perfectly here in Utah, and I hope the same for you wherever you are. Now, I have a really powerful, potent message for you today, and this is about feeling optimism for the future and how you can be proactive and take the steps to help you feel that way. And this has been something I've been thinking about very deeply these last couple of weeks, and especially this week as I've gotten some communication from some people and conversations I've had. I think that it's really, really important to realize, first of all, the power we have, and also to realize that there is a lot of reasons to be optimistic about the future. So I wrote down a few steps that we can individually and collectively take to take back our own power. Now, the first one is, this is where it all should start, is to realize how deeply we are loved, not just by the people in our lives. And if you're a person who maybe lives alone, maybe you're a widow, maybe you don't have close family or close friends, or you've gotten into a place where you are not surrounded by people or even have a lot of connection with people, first I would say try to change that. Reach out of your comfort zone and try to change that. But if you are a person who doesn't have a lot of people around you at a certain point of your life, whatever that looks like, or you are a person who does, first of all, remember that you are loved by the people in your life, and most importantly, by our Creator, by God. The level of love that God has for us is indescribable. We are so cherished and so loved. Now let's take this to another piece of that, which is we are so loved and seen by Mother Earth. She gives unconditionally to us for our shelter, our food, our enjoyment of nature, the sun, the beauty of the moon. Um, we are so deeply loved. If we knew how cherished and loved we were, optimism we would feel for the future and the things that are happening would get rid of all of that negativity almost immediately. And there's a beautiful little story that I'll share with you that happened this week. So many of you know that both of my grown sons work with me. My oldest son, Scott, he has an almost 11-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son. And this week, the kids were in and out of the building today, our workspace. And at the end of the day, everyone had left except for I was there with Scott. We were talking about some things, and Nolan, my 9-year-old grandson, Scott's son, was there, and he was waiting for a ride home with his dad. And so as Nolan was just kind of listening to us talking, he wasn't interrupting anything. And after about 15 minutes, me and Scott were getting ready to go, and Nolan wanted to ask my son a question. So we were just standing in the front, getting ready to lock up the doors, and he looked up at his dad and asked a question, and my son looked down at my grandson, put his hands on either side of his face, and said, Nolan, you were so respectful when me and Grandma were talking, and you were so patient. And he looked him right in the eyes and he said, I love you, Nolan. And I watched my grandson look up at his dad and say, I love you too, Dad. And I'm telling you, there was this moment, first of all, as a mother and a grandmother, watching this interaction between my son and his son was just like, wow. I was like, okay, a little bit of pride, watching my son be this beautiful father. And at the end of it all, the beautiful exchange of pure love. And I think if we look for these moments and we pay attention to these moments, they are all around us. So that is the very first thing. Love vibrates at the highest frequency. It is such a beautiful, beautiful emotion, and we are pure love. And I think if we remember that on a daily basis, write it down. I have a little tattoo on my wrist and it says love right there. It says breathe love. And this is for, at this point, I don't need a reminder, but it's still nice. I love having the word love on just as a constant reminder of where I'm looking every day. So that's the very first one. The second one is realize that a lot of the systems that have been put in place are put in place to make you powerless. If you are powerless, you are easy to control. And if you are self-sufficient, if you vibrate in love, if you realize the power you have to change your destiny, change your day, change your financial situation, you are a creative, powerful being. And if you realize that the systems are set up to keep you powerless and keep you as a controlled person, the systems are also set up to keep you in debt so that you don't have the power to live the kind of life that you know you deserve. So realize that. And I think the third and the biggest thing is that you have to be willing to take massive action. So in order for the world to be more optimistic and for you to see that, that is one of the things. Now, one of the things that I believe every person who is aware that this is something that can keep them stuck in a negative spiral all the time is to disconnect from those things that keep you in a negative spin. Things like the movies, things like, I always talk about this every time, right? Netflix and all of the social media scrolling and all of these things that we might know that's happening, but we are constantly confirming them. And it's not about being ignorant and putting your head in the sand. It's about knowing what's going on, being tuned in and absolutely aware, and then saying, okay, I know this is happening, and I'm going to get out and I'm going to change my financial situation. Everybody should have some type of side hustle, some type of something that you're doing on the side that is filling up your passion. Even if, I do art on the side. I do art because it fills up my soul, and I love everything about doing art. And I am actually going into a little bit of a space where I might try to monetize it a little bit because I love it so much. So that is one of the things that you can do, is to disconnect yourself from these things by taking action on the things that you know are hurting you. And if you don't have even a sliver of optimism for the future, really, first of all, take a look at the things that you're letting into your awareness. And they might be all true. They might be all these truths that you feel within your bones and within your soul that these things are happening. Because trust me, I know that too. I see what's happening. But in order for me to be a part of the movement of creativity and optimism, which I know, to me, there's no way that this isn't going to turn out good at the end. Do we still have some pain to go through? Yes, we do. But every single person that opts out of the negativity and takes the steps to be aware and awake and prepared, and then putting yourself out there into the positive, into the collective that is making a difference. To me, that is one of the biggest things that we can do. It's only difficult if you tell yourself it's difficult. In fact, here's a really great quote from, some of you might know Jim Rohn. I love him. I've been studying his stuff for a decade and a half. Unless you change how you are, you will always have what you've got. So you have to change how you are. Unless you change how you are, you will always have what you've got. So don't be so attached to the outcome. Okay, that's a big statement, right? Don't be so attached to what is going to happen. You can't be rotating in that all the time. It just doesn't serve you. Create your own reality and be willing to opt out of the system. Grow your own food. Get out of debt. If you're expecting the government to take care of you, you might want to click off of this video right now, because to me, this is about personal empowerment and taking personal responsibility and not always being a victim. In fact, you should never be a victim. We get to create our own circumstances. You can be a victim of the circumstances, or you can actually create the outcome of the circumstances that you have. All of us have had trouble. All of us have had situations in our life where we could choose to be in the victim mentality. And personally, that is not a place I want to be. So I believe that we can opt out of the system, and we can choose the way that we look at our circumstances, and we can be a creator or we can be a victim. It's as easy as that. you will start to realize that many things are set up to keep you stuck. They're set up that way. So get out of debt. I said that. Grow your own food. I said that. And be willing to look at your maybe cherished. Okay, so be willing to look at your old, maybe cherished belief systems. Okay, I'm gonna kind of end on this one because I could keep going about this, but this one is super big. And if you got to where we are right now, 10 minutes in, you need to look at all of the things that are your deepest held belief systems. And this could be like, it could be any number of things. It could be political. It could be religious. It could be the banking system. It could be whatever you perceive is your deepest belief system. Because what I believe happens, we spend so much time and so much of our life living in our mind based on these things that were programmed into us. Many of you have heard, and I know when I first learned this, my kids were already grown up, and I was like, oh my goodness, I wish I had known this when I was raising my kids. From what you learn from when you're born till you're about 7, and I learned this from Bruce Lipton, Dr. Lipton, who wrote The Biology of Belief and several other books. I've loved him for a long time. And he shows that this is where your core values, the things that you learn and are programmed into you, this is where they take hold, they take root, they solidify between birth and 7. So that's why all of these things that we maybe learn when we're younger, it's hard to break out of those things. And not only that, we pick up these conditioning things from our parents and our grandparents and the things that we're exposed to. And I know as a person who's been able to break out of systems that didn't serve me, and I'm not saying you should break out of the things that serve you and that you love. I'm saying be willing to look at the things that you think are old, cherished belief systems. You might think that they're cherished, and it might be something that is no longer true or no longer serves you. And this can be a whole wide range of things. And this might even be maybe that thing that this is triggering you right now, thinking, well, I'm not going to just take a look at these things that you say might not serve me. So this is individual. This is, this is you. You get to determine what no longer serves you. So let's just wind this all up. You want the world to look better. Well, you get to put on the lens, the glasses, that's going to give you a more optic view of what the world looks like. There is actually, I haven't listened to it yet, but I just got told about a podcast called The Optimistic American. And apparently I don't remember the name of the guy who runs it. I guess he used to be in politics. And my nephew heard him give a speech where he said basically so if this is about the American population, he said if you take all of the Americans who are within voting age, 10% are hardcore Republican and 10% are hardcore Democrat. 1% of each of these are the extreme. Only 1% are extreme. And what he found, and he was actually in politics and a politician, I guess he's retired and out of that now and doing this podcast. Like I said, I haven't listened to it yet. I don't know what political party he was in. I don't know anything about that. But basically, he said, there's the huge group in the middle who are completely disgusted with politics, and most of them don't vote because they're like, I don't like this group, I don't like, they all feel like they're the same. And what even the group on the 10%, and it might be more that votes. I mean, I don't know, this guy, it was an interesting conversation I had with my nephew about this. But he said basically, it's the view of what an average human being wants it's good. It's so good. And here's what this reminded me of. I look at my neighborhood and I look at people in the store when I'm just grocery shopping. And I'm telling you, people are kind. People are loving. There's the fringe. And the thing is, we like to focus on someone who cut us off in traffic or someone who didn't give us the right change or messed up something. Maybe a person who served you was rude, or maybe the checker was having a bad day and wasn't as friendly to you. I mean, we always like to focus on the things that are less than positive. So what I would like to do, I'm just going to wind this up with this, is I want to challenge you to search out and look for the positive. Take a situation that happens that you might focus on a negative thing and say, okay, where's the positive in that? Or if I can't find a positive, well, let me go find something that's positive in my life. This is where gratitude plays in such a huge role in making our life so beautiful. So I encourage you to look at the positive, live in gratitude, and disconnect on a regular basis from going down those rabbit holes and staying down there. And I've said this before, leave yourself a lifeline to get out of these rabbit holes that just keep us rotating in the same thought pattern, the same negativity. You've got this. I promise you, you've got this. And I will give a shout out to a couple of special people who emailed me this week. Donna, if you're watching, thank you. That was a beautiful email. I get your angst all the way. I love you. You're amazing. Bust out of some of the things that you've been watching. Trust me, it will do you so well. And Marissa, 80-year-old, beautiful human. We connect on email quite often. I'm telling you, there's so many reasons to be optimistic. Humanity is beautiful. And even when we're trying to search and find the truth and find and the love is there. The love is there for all of us. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope your Sunday is spectacular and extraordinary and brilliant and beautiful and filled with love. We've got this. And we need to remember at the end of these dark times, this is where we have the biggest growth, is during this time. And at the end of this is where we go, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful for those experiences because look how much love I have, how much gratitude, and how much growth I have. We got this. I love this. So I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button. And here's something I'm learning. If you turn on the notifications, it actually helps the algorithm because it will pop up. Put a comment. Maybe put hashtag love. Hashtag love. You don't have to write me anything else. Hashtag love. Even just love or heart. Put a heart in the comments. I love you guys. I hope your day is brilliant. I hope your week is amazing, and we will see you next time.